What up, everybody? What up? What it do? What it do? Dick is back with you. Um, it's Monday, y'all, and as I always say, Mr. Dick is in here trying to take the day. I was trying to release a video yesterday, and man, like it went full copyright explosion issue. I was trying to do a UFC upload talking about the fight night in Atlanta, and it had some pretty amazing stuff on it and some crazy stuff. I couldn't even believe it. Some first time in ever, in an event happening. There was a bunch of craziness, and I just took a couple clips. And then YouTube was like, no, this ain't gonna be shown to anybody, whatever. So I still got the video. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I can't release it unless I finagle the whole thing. And here at Dictate the Day, we ain't trying to hide nothing, so we don't edit. That's not really why I don't edit, but it is a cool feature of said channel, Dictate the Day. You getting it raw all the time. I can't edit. Not yet. It's coming. All right, y'all. Be prepared. One of these days, you can be like, oh my God, he figured it out. But not yet. I'm getting there. So today is another curation. I love that word for some reason. Of crazy things I have found. Crazy theories, crazy images, crazy thoughts. Everything from Antarctica to CIA experiments to CERN, if you will. I can't even remember. There's like a dozen clips I'm going to show you here today. Do a little commentary on. Some of these are going to be in the same vein of thought, so they're not all going to be a different, concept, if you will. I am super intrigued with many of these theories because they entertain me. So remember, this is for entertainment for you and me. Do your research. But Antarctica, for some reason, has always been a big, like, what's going on down there? Like, in 1959, we signed a treaty with all countries, all powers that be, that we will leave it alone. Why? What's there? And I feel like if they made that public, like, look, we agree, we're not going to go here, they're definitely doing stuff there, right? Yeah, I once, before I get into the video, because the Antarctica ones are first, I've been a bartender a long time. I worked at a hotel in the Denver area that, we did a lot of pickups under like contracts there at the Denver International Airport, which has its own conspiracy theory. I'm sure I'll have videos. Secret underground reptilian bases underneath DIA, Denver International Airport. But we used to pick up this group of people that actually worked in what's called the McMurdo Station. I think that's how you say it correctly. But it's there in Antarctica. And man, we had everybody. Scientists, engineers. I mean, everybody would come through. I kind of befriended the people who were in the food service because there was people in food service that were working down there too. It's supposed to be real good money, government job, all that stuff. And a couple of times, these people and I would get together, because I'd be at work and they'd be drinking and eating. And sometimes they get a little bit of that up in them, some of that true serum. They never told me anything like, oh my God, they have aliens for sure down there. That would have been cool. But there was one scientist guy. I'm not sure what science he was a sciencer at. But he was chilling with the group of food service guys that I had huddled up around the bar, and we were talking and, laughing and shooting the shit. But, this guy, anytime we would ask him, because I would ask a question, they'd be like, ask the scientist. And he would always say, oh, well, I can't talk about stuff like that. All that information's protected. But I remember when everybody got up and walked away to like go to their hotel room, he leaned over the bar and he was like, you will not believe what's going on down there. And that's all I can tell you. And I was left awestruck. I was just like, in silence, like, what does that even mean? And he was also not just a scientist, he was like an Air Force pilot. I remember before they jumped on the shuttle to go back to the airport to make their destination, because I guess the trip is so long they would have to fly to, they would always mention New Zealand. What's up, New Zealand? Christchurch, New Zealand is like a city there, and that would be a stop they would make, and then they would go to Antarctica. But he gave me a commemorative like coin, like mission coin or something, and I have no, man, it's somewhere in my belongings. I just don't know where it's at. Very, very cool. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, enough with bumping my gums, y'all. Let's get into some videos, shall we? Crazy videos that will blow your mind. I still am having issue titling these things. You know, I'm in denial that these are Reacts videos, but they are. They're Reacts videos. All right. How about this, everybody? With this information we got right now, I got an idea. Let's dig into it. I'm trying to make that a thing, y'all. You know what I mean? It sounds kind of cool to me or whatever. All right, this thing's about 3 minutes long. Interesting. And let it begin.
Antarctica, a frozen, foreboding, mysterious place with many secrets still hidden beneath its ice. Rarely visited and off-limits to the public, this enormous landmass has predictably attracted many conspiracy theories looking for outlandish legends and peculiar icy outcrops in a quest to unravel its history. Interest regarding what could be hidden within or possibly beyond were ignited by an individual of incredibly...
Okay, first of all, I've seen these pictures have been rolling around for years. This is the one supposedly like a military plane snap pictures of. It's from a soldier, I believe, if I'm correct. And 100% looks like a pyramid. But let's think about it for a minute. Obviously, or I shouldn't say obviously, because man, I don't know. But Antarctica hasn't always been covered in ice and snow. Like miles of it supposedly sits on top of that continent. But there's old school maps, like the Perry Reese map I have in one of my previous videos. And they show evidence of a full green mountainous bodies of water that are not frozen, all that kind of stuff, and not as far back as you would think. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's real, you know what I mean? But it's very intriguing that more than one versions of that historical maps. Here's the other thing, and once again, I don't know if this is real. The whole Antarctica ice wall thing, and we'll get there. I'm sure it's in here. It kind of coincides directly with the flat Earth idea. Because, man, if you've seen some of these ancient maps, and I've shown them before, I don't want to mess up my whole thing here. I'd show you. But, it's, yes, supposedly it's a dome kind of situation where we sit on a flat plane. But I guess potentially there's either multiple domes or the dome encases a bunch of other civilizations, land masses that we, technically can't go, because you can't go to Antarctica. In 1959, they signed this treaty that every country, every power that be said, all right, we're going to leave it alone. And if that's what they're telling us, that's not what they're doing. So some of this, bleeds directly into the flat Earth theory. I don't know. I do not know. Let's just continue to entertain ourselves.
High standing, with Admiral Richard E. Byrd claiming that vast resources and land without ice as far as the eye could see was somehow hidden beyond this huge barrier.
But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen.
All right, real quick, just for those that don't know, sorry, I'm interrupting again. This is Richard E. Byrd. He is a military man of high status who went on a mission to discover what's going on down there. And he had a diary. And his diary spoke of some of the craziest stuff that is right out of a sci-fi movie. Everything from Hollow Earth, because there was an opening that he found that his plane got kind of taken over and sucked into. This is him. Supposedly that diary, though, may not be legit. I guess maybe his son had found it, and according to the awesome channel, The Y-Files, the son may have finagled some of the writing in there, maybe added some. I don't know. I'm just saying. But what a cool concept. Man, I would love to go check it out, though, right?
By a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
This is a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
However, ever since these claims were made on public broadcast, any other mention of this mysterious unknown land have ever officially been made.
Never again.
If anything, his claims have been rebuked on a number of occasions. Yet, I digress. We have collaborated and corroborated countless ancient ruins, which not only fit the same signature of builders, but share the same technological advancements, not only suggesting, but we feel due to the massive amount of evidence collected, all but proving a once highly capable world-going civilization once flourished on Earth before ours, very possibly at a time when Antarctica itself was free of ice. Thus, it is not beyond the realms of possibility that ancient ruins could indeed be hiding beneath the ice. Pyramids could indeed be protruding above it, and a cover-up could indeed be ensuing. Although most of the images and footage which claim to display said ruins have all but been proven fake, there are that rare few items, such as the Piri Reis map, or indeed the many other proofs we have shared of a possible pre-Ice Age advanced civilization here on Earth.
For
The
sure.
existence then of a frozen city is entirely possible. Ground-penetrating radar has often been used within Antarctica, yet without actually being able to excavate anything below the ice sheet. Any strange anomalies are simply dismissed as curious-looking natural formations, without the entertainment of the idea of their possible existence within the academic world. The only choice funded individuals have when presented with such evidence, no matter how overwhelming, it must be dismissed as natural. It simply cannot be labeled as anything else. What is hidden beneath the ice in Antarctica? We find the possibilities highly compelling.
All right.
Antarctica.
Craziness. All right, so we're going to stay in the theme of Antarctica, if you don't mind. But let me bring y'all in full frontal face. This next clip I have, I think it's a little bit longer. I don't know if it's legit. It looks legit for sure, but how can I really know unless I took the pictures, and I was not alive when these pictures were taken. It is, let me pull it up and just kind of see here. I hope this doesn't mess up my thing. Okay, so this is 61 different photographs. They're all black and whitish. I think there's a couple that they may have touched up with color, which means who knows if they're even real. But these are from 1912 by a gentleman named Robert Scott, supposedly. And these photographs, these areas that they took pictures of and, were discovering, looking around, checking stuff out. This was before that the treaty, of course, of 1959, because these are taken in 1912. There is music on this that I don't think I can show you, so I'm going to kind of turn the volume down, and we're just going to kind of talk over it, and I may fast forward a little bit because it's kind of lengthy. And like I said, I don't know if they're legit or not, but some of these things, I've never seen anything like this before, and I don't know if they're AI. I don't think they are. That becomes a problem if you're trying to, find cool videos to show people, especially if you're trying to, announce or pick apart potential conspiracy theories. It feels like the whole thing goes out the window when it's like, oh, AI made that, or that's an AI voice, or or that's Joe Rogan's voice. He's not saying that. I'm not saying that's happening here, but that happens a lot as I look for these things. So yeah, it's one of the things I didn't think I was gonna have an issue with, but man, it's a thing. All right, let me do this real quick because I need to manipulate the volume.
Smash the
Let me
like.
pause it. It's about 4 minutes long. Let me bring down the volume. And let me see. Oh, okay, all right. 61 amazing photos beyond the ice walls. Now, I don't know if that's legit or not because, you know, the ice wall thing, if you take a picture of a giant Arctic shelf, you know, that they're all over there, they kind of look like ice walls. Man, I feel like the big ice wall word became a thing because of Game of Thrones. I don't know. But I'm just, you know, I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know what's really crack-a-lacking. All right, here we go. Photos. Before the treaty, and I don't know. I feel like if they were trying to hide something, would I really have access to this? I don't know. Let's see.
Like button.
These photos were taken 37 years before the signing of the Antarctic Treaty, which stops us from being able to go there. Yeah, like what is that? Before the treaty, Antarctica. Some old school ships. Looks like just some rocks on a beach. I don't know. But there is a couple of these, man, that I don't know if I'm looking at. Like that definitely looks like some type of civilization. They had stuff built up there. Obviously some manipulation with rock to build stuff. Like what are those? What are those pillars? Because they look giant. And that, like, I mean, I don't want to say Tartaria, but there's a little sculpture of a penguin, it appears. They do live there. Giant rocks. Obviously a pyramid. I don't know if this is Antarctica, but it, you know, it looks like it could be. But look at that ice around that structure. Man. I mean, that looks like maybe an ancient castle or something. So, you know, that's not, but what is that? That looks like swords or something made out of bone or ice. I don't even know. That one has twisted my mind up. Quite right nice. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna continue here. I wish I could go fast. I mean, I know I can, but I don't know how to do it. Like what? That looks like some kind of weird worship thing. More pillars, you know, covered in ice and snow. What is that? Looks like some Greek structure or something. I guess that potentially could be an ice wall. I guess. Or just a giant iceberg. Like what? What? Can you go inside there? What's inside there? Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know if these are legitimate. Like, what are we looking at right there? That's like a tomb of some sort. Okay, yeah. Why does it look so smooth on the inside of that? Huh. Yeah, I just, that's a head scratcher, everybody. Head scratcher. Crazy. This is kind of more of the same. I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit for our attention deficit folks, because I am definitely one of those. Weird. I don't even know what I'm looking at. That looks like something from Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? The king. I mean, it would make sense that if, you know, there was people living there, they would, even in the past, they would have stuff. But some of it looks like, yes, they were somewhat technically advanced to do all this kind of stuff. But we don't know what condition that landmass was in when this was being built, right? Is all the ice there potentially an after effect of, you know, a comet hitting an asteroid, a pole shift, you know, whatever, and now it's just frozen there, and all that's supposedly defrosting now, and they use the words, you know, G warming, and who knows though? Maybe it's some prophetic stuff. All right, let's move on. Let's get some sound back into our life. I'm feeling kind of weird without it. And it's more Antarctica, but you know, it is super crazy.
The trimetricon lenses clicking overlapping exposures every 3 seconds, photographed from horizon to horizon. Coal, a mountain of coal. Byrd later declares Antarctic mines, if once tapped, could supply the world's coal needs for centuries. Our Western group, flying hundreds of air hours, mapped the 4,000...
I don't know if y'all could tell what they were talking about right there, but they were like, that's a mountain of coal. It is just, you know, wars are fought over resources like this. And supposedly we have agreed with every big superpower that we're not going to mess around down there. We're going to leave it. But why? Are they afraid of what has ownership over the land? Man, I've heard all kinds of stuff because, you know, I fill my brain with all of the possible theory. I want to know any and everything about any and everything. Sometimes that information is way over my head, so difficult to do, but I've heard people say they don't want us to go to Antarctica because if you get past the ice wall, you'll find replicas of yourself. I don't even know what that means, but all right. I truly believe I'm one of a kind, y'all. Ain't nobody out here as weird as this dude. Come on, let's go.
Sunset Coast made the amazing discovery of warm land in Antarctica. So white is turned to chocolate brown, dotted with blue. A cameraman goes into action.
Look at that.
300
That's a
square
warm
miles
water
of
lake.
land without snow. Land that might be in New Mexico or Arizona.
Yeah.
Pictures alone will prove Unger has discovered a warm oasis in the shadow of the pole. The astounding, undreamed of fact is that they are over a chain of warm water lakes whose shores, except for small patches, are free of ice and snow.
Is that real?
Commander Bunger circles the largest lake in sight, 5 miles long. He comes in to make a landing. Water temperatures must be recorded. Samples taken. He finds the water fresh. The temperature 38 degrees Fahrenheit. On the shores are vast deposits of coal and of minerals of the utmost
I mean, there is some
importance
ice
to
on that,
civilization.
you know, shoreline.
Ago, a warm place on Antarctica.
Shoemaker Oasis. Dude, is that real? I want to check it out, man. What an epic journey that would be, right?
Mountain ranges with peaks 20,000 feet above sea level. The trimetricon lenses clicking overlapping exposures every 3 seconds, photographed from horizon to horizon.
It's just replaying. That is so intriguing to me. Okay, the next one, we're just going to bump right into it. It's Antarctica again.
Smash
Oh,
the
we're
like
going
button.
backwards. My emotional baggage. Here
It
we go.
was the most secret
Oh.
program ever.
All right. I believe that was the rest of the Antarctica stuff. We're going to move into a little of the Central Intelligence. Folks, yeah, there's a lot of these. And it's like the more time that goes by, the more they get exposed for not being conspiracy theories, not just some, you know, crazy people talking smack. It's real. And this is what, you know, fires my flame of, are all conspiracy theories eventually going to be exposed? I mean, the ones that are within the realm of, even the ones you think, there's no way they did that. They did that. All right, here we go.
Conducted by the CIA in the United States, patients at psychiatric hospitals, prisoners in federal institutions, and even people in the public were given drugs without their awareness or consent and experimented upon.
What if the most terrifying science fiction stories weren't fiction at all?
Yeah.
What if the real monsters were hidden behind government seals, buried in redacted files, and locked away in vaults marked top secret? Tonight, we peel back the layers of deception to reveal the darkest, most chilling secrets ever declassified by the CIA. These aren't just stories. They're documented operations, experiments, and conspiracies
Prepare yourself.
that sound too twisted to be true. But they are.
The CIA was scared stiff the KGB was going to get all this LSD and come over and start dosing people. So we bought
Tripping.
every drop of LSD in existence at that point.
Operation Midnight Climax, the CIA's LSD brothels. In the heart of San Francisco and New York during the 1950s and 60s, the CIA operated a series of safe houses under the innocuous-sounding Operation Midnight Climax.
Sounds good.
But behind these doors,
It's not.
a sinister experiment unfolded. Sex workers on the CIA's payroll lured unsuspecting men.
What they're showing right there, that photograph doesn't necessarily coincide with the Midnight Climax topic they're talking about. That item that they're showing right there, I believe, is the heart attack gun, which is self-explanatory. We'll just leave it at that. This is all entertainment, everyone. Okay.
Men into these locations where they were secretly dosed with LSD. Behind one-way mirrors, CIA operatives observed and recorded their reactions, aiming to study the effects of the drug and explore mind control techniques. The goal? To determine if individuals could be manipulated into revealing secrets or even committing acts against their...
Okay, I don't know if anybody that's watching this, I'm sure some have experimented with said hallucinogenic, but that form that they're talking about, I'm sure back in like the 60s and stuff, powerful, probably safer to take, less, I don't know, but if you have ever, you know it's intense, like tripping balls, man. I've never used any form of brothel or anything like that. It actually scares me because I'm a huge germaphobe. But I'm sure if it's, maybe your first time doing something like that, you're kind of nervous. I don't know. I would definitely be nervous. It just seems weird to me. And I know it's the oldest profession ever. Isn't that crazy? Google that. Why was money created? That's a good video to do, right? If I'm allowed. But I just, going into a potentially stressful situation, and you don't know, someone has given you enough of this hallucinogenic chemical to distort your whole perception of the world, things you hear and see for hours. Because I don't know how much they have given, but I have watched different reports about this stuff before, and they gave doses that I don't know if people would ever recover from. So if their intent was to manipulate the minds of people, man, this could do it. I think they use this as a double-edged sword because they were able to blackmail people as well because they're at a brothel, which would be illegal in most everywhere here in the United States except for that little spot out in Vegas. Or not Vegas, but, Nevada. Here we go. Sorry.
Their will. These experiments violated ethical standards and the rights of countless individuals,
Hell yeah.
many of whom never knew they were part of a clandestine operation. But what happened next shocked everyone. Project MK Ultra,
Oh, hell
the
no.
quest for mind control. Project MK Ultra was the CIA's most infamous mind control program, initiated in the early 1950s.
Hey, allegedly, this is still going on to this day. Okay? Allegedly. Man, I don't want to... I really do my best to try to avoid the political side of life because it is just supercharged, and I believe it's just a thing to control us. Gets us all riled up so we don't see what they're doing. Because they're all in on it. It doesn't matter what side. They're on their side is what side they're on. But there has been... There was like some people that were important that were, I guess, just a few days ago. Today's Monday. I think it was like last week that were unalived by a gentleman, and they were like a congressman and his wife or something. And I just feel like when we hear about stuff like this, everything from the assassination attempts, because there are people you would never think would do this. Is it because they have been MK'd? It's definitely a possibility. Okay.
Under the direction of chemist Sidney Gottlieb, the agency conducted a series of experiments involving LSD, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and other methods on unwitting subjects. Victims included prisoners, mental patients, and even CIA employees.
Damn.
One tragic case involved Dr. Frank Olson, a government scientist who was unknowingly dosed with LSD and later died under mysterious circumstances.
I wonder what
The
that-
official story claimed suicide, but many believe he was silenced to prevent the truth from emerging.
For sure.
The program's unethical practices eventually came to light in the 1970s, leading to public outrage and congressional hearings. Yet many details remain shrouded in secrecy, leaving us to wonder, how deep did the rabbit hole go? Project Artichoke. Can you create an assassin?
Artichoke?
Before MK Ultra, there was Project Artichoke. Launched in 1951, this CIA initiative aimed to determine whether individuals could be compelled to commit assassinations against their will. Using hypnosis, forced addiction, and psychological manipulation, the agency explored the boundaries of human control.
Yikes.
One chilling question posed in a declassified memo: can we get control of an individual to the point where he will do our bidding against his will and even against fundamental laws of nature,
For sure.
such as self-preservation? The implications are terrifying. If successful, this program could have created real-life Manchurian candidates, individuals programmed to kill without memory or remorse. Project Stargate, psychic spies, and remote viewing. In the 1970s, the CIA ventured into the paranormal with Project Stargate, a program exploring the potential of psychic phenomena for intelligence gathering. The focus was on remote viewing, the ability to perceive distant or unseen targets through extrasensory perception. Notably, Israeli psychic Uri Geller.
It was the most
Okay. I got to take a breather after that one. All right. It's so very strange. I don't know if that's the right word. Just, I don't know, a decade ago, we would be like, no way the government would not do that. They would get caught. I mean, if you're talking about it, we would know. This has all been admitted. This, not omitted, but they admit to doing this. Like, man, I don't. Did they pay those people? Like, hey, sorry, we made you trip for 14 days. Here's $100. I don't know. I think it's just so crazy that these are the same people that run our world today. And we're okay with that? I don't know, man. All right, let's keep on. Let's keep on shrucking on, okay? Next.
There's a U.S. facility so secret, even multiple presidents were denied access. It's buried deep inside a mountain on the Pennsylvania-Maryland border, and it's called the Raven Rock Complex. Officially, it's just a military communications bunker. Unofficially, it's been called the Underground Pentagon.
Look at those two entries.
But here's where it gets weird. President Eisenhower denied full entry. Clinton restricted to surface level only, because inside, it's not just bunkers and computers. Leaked reports mention rooms that shift size, hallways that stretch endlessly, and a constant low hum that makes people sick. In 1997, a video leaked of something crawling along the ceiling of one of the deeper corridors. The file was deleted from every server in under 24 hours. Raven Rock has its own water, power, and a food supply that lasts a century. So the real question isn't why they built it. It's what's already down there.
Yeah.
There's a...
Okay, we know that this place exists. You can Google map it yourself. I don't know about that other stuff, about the person climbing on the wall or whatever that was, about the endless hallways and the rooms shape-shifting. But, I mean, is it so far-fetched we can't... I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, let's get a little deeper into this craziness, shall we?
You know what the darkest conspiracy theory about aliens is?
Just break it
I don't know if I'm ready for it. That Earth is essentially a farm, and human beings are the vessels that contain souls, and they want us because this is how they create souls. And so they're farming us. They've created us. So we started off as primates, and through some sort of genetic intervention,
I don't know,
I'm not saying
y'all.
I believe this. I'm just saying that this is like top of the food chain. Put your tinfoil hat on super tight. That they farm us, and that the whole reason why human beings are involved in this conflict, constant conflict, it's all of it is to increase our competition with each other, increase our ability to control resources, which will increase our technology, which will ultimately lead to us creating this being that we're going to create, this artificially intelligent super god.
I mean,
you know what the darkest?
What are we doing? What are we doing? I don't know. This, from all the crazy stuff that I watch and do research on and things, this kind of coincides with like the hollow moon thing, because supposedly there's I don't know if you call it a soul catcher or what it is, but they harvest our souls. And then it bleeds into the reptilian thing because they feed on our fear. So that's why they always keep us all jacked up with anxiety and fear and pain and all this stuff, because that's their favorite kind, or whatever. They feed off of negative energy. And then there's this whole thing about when you move on to the next realm, when you're no longer kicking around, people say, I see a light. I see a light. I'm ascending to a light. And a lot of people, reference that as heaven. But as of late, there has been some weird, near passing people who have experienced it and then have come back due to, doctors reviving them or whatever. That there's a concept that you want to avoid going to the light because that's the recyclable thing that sits in the moon. So our soul, or whatever it is, our true inner being or whatever, is forced to come back because I know it's crazy, because it goes to the moon and then they do what they do with the soul. They wipe our memory and then they send us back down to be born again. And it's just this cycle. I don't know. It is out there. It is crazy. And it's not like I'm the only one mentioning it. I'm not saying I believe in it, because that one's kind of hard to get into, but many people do. So, I don't know. All right, here we go. And there was music on that, you guys. I so hope that doesn't jack me up. It's little stuff like that. Whatever.
All right, guys, got a little new conspiracy theory for you, which I wanted to share. It has to do with the pharmaceutical company
This is crazy.
AstraZeneca. It's a very well-known one. And as everyone knows, in the medical field, Latin is
the language,
a key part of naming things, and so therefore the people involved with pharmaceuticals are very well versed in Latin and what the words mean. So is this just a coincidence?
No.
Who knows? But so here's the website for AstraZeneca. There you go.
I dare y'all to do this.
There's the
Check it out.
spelling of their name. Okay.
What does that word even mean?
So now let's go into Google Translate.
Please do.
And what we're going to do here is we're going to set it to Latin to English. All right, so let's type in AstraZeneca. Ooh, gotta spell it right though. AstraZeneca. There we go. Okay. So, no direct translation, but if you just simply go here, put a space between here, and here.
Is he reaching, y'all? Is he reaching
Right? You
with
just
this
put those
idea?
spaces there, and the translation becomes a road to death.
Bro.
Not making that up, guys. Go try it for yourself. Do Latin to English.
Yeah, somebody give that a shot. There's so many. You know why that's not surprising to me, and probably not surprising to many people? Like, I don't I don't watch television anymore. I know that's true for a lot of us because we've got, the awesome YouTube and, all the things, streaming services. So, I mean, you're kind of still watching TV or whatever. But the reason I mention that is because I don't see a lot of commercials anymore. The only time I see commercials is when let's say I'm in a restaurant or at the gym or someplace where there's a TV on and usually the sound's not up. Sometimes it is. But I'll see advertisements for different pharmaceuticals. Like they've been doing it. I think there's only a couple countries that allow it, and we are one, of course, because we pay for healthcare. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. I might dip into a little bit if I can stay on the same subject matter for long enough. Any of the pharmaceuticals that they show, like I'm just gonna make. This is totally fictional. I'm just making this up. Like, let's say it's for psoriasis. Okay, I've suffered from it before. I've never used any creams. I usually can control that with my diet. No kidding.
Just put those spaces in.
Whoops. But it's like, hey, this is good for psoriasis. But by the way, it has 15, 20 different possible side effects, and one of them could be the final side effect, if you will. YouTube doesn't like it when you use the word. That's why I keep saying different realms and stuff. But that's why that's not a surprising translation, because most of these have the ability to, you know what I mean? Goddess almighty. All right, let's keep on rolling.
There's a really famous mystery called the
Okay. I'm sorry for stopping again, but I kind of have to do this to make it legitimate. However you say that word, Dyatlov Pass, man, this would be a great scary movie, and it would be based on true events. This is absolutely one of my favorite, mysteries out there, and I don't know, maybe for the past 6 to 8 years, I have seen different versions of the story being told. They've had it on Discovery Channel. I even think Ancient Aliens has a little bit of this going in on it. But this is Mr. Ballin. Shout out Mr. Ballin. Ex-Special Forces dude. Navy SEAL, I believe. Check out his channel if you like storytelling. It's really cool. Really, really cool. And as far as YouTubing goes, this dude inspires me. All right? Because he's just himself, and he just finds interesting stuff to talk about, and then he tells you the story. I will say, be prepared, though. Like, this one is kind of crazy, but he tells some crazy ones. Scary and stuff. So, all right, here we go.
Dyatlov Pass. It's about these 9 really experienced hikers in the 50s. They set off on this journey and they reached the first checkpoint, but they didn't make it to the second checkpoint. And there was a big search that goes out to make sure they're okay. The army gets involved and they go and follow the route to find the hikers. And they come across these prints in the snow that led down the mountain. And some of the prints were bare feet, some had one shoe and one barefoot. And it's all 9 of the hikers, and they find 3 of the hikers, and they're all deceased. And there's one who's naked. There's one who's up in one of the trees, and there's these deep gouges on the tree as if some animal had been scratching at this tree. There's more footprints that lead away from those 3, and the footprints lead where the other 6 hikers were, and they're all deceased as well. And the women were wearing men's clothing and vice versa. Some of their clothes had trace levels of radiation, and some of them had parts of their face removed, it looked like. Lips, nose, ears. It almost looked like surgical precision removal. There was a person in there who their chest had basically been caved in, but there's no sign of anything that could have done this damage. And suddenly the Soviet government says, we're going to shut this investigation down. All we know is that the 9 hikers who died from an unknown, unnatural force.
Bro. Okay. Camping can be scary, right? But camping on top of a mountain covered in snow in the high elevations of Russia somewhere, and you're with 9 or 8 other, if you're one of these people, hardcore, know what to do, can survive in all kinds of crazy situations where most people couldn't. these people were elite in what they did. And I mean, they know that they can't be exposed to the elements like that because of frostbite and all kinds of stuff. People were barefoot. Some people weren't even clothed. I mean, that the comment where he talked about the person's chest being concaved in or whatever, I was thinking bear, right? And the scratches in the tree. But then the facial stuff that was surgically removed, it makes me think of the cows that got, if you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to get too graphic. Yeah. Okay, next.
Seriously, can anyone explain to me why the Pope has this symbol on his robes that is identical to a giant geoglyph of a humanoid-looking figure in the northern desert of Chile?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, what is going on here? It's pretty common knowledge that the global elites know a lot more than they let us normies in on, but this is literally like waving it in front of our face. Like, what is this? Before anybody starts commenting saying this picture is fake or it's probably been altered or AI, no.
Man.
This was posted 6 years ago in an article by The Guardian. Now, I had to scribble out a little bit of the title, but Catholic Church, children, I'm sure you can understand the context of this article. So unless The Guardian are posting pictures of the Pope with aliens on his robes for absolutely no reason and no relevance to their story, then I feel pretty comfortable in saying that this is a real image. So what kind of significance does it have to this? The Atacama Giant. This is one of the biggest geoglyphs in the world depicting a humanoid figure. It's believed to have been created between 1,000 and 1,400 years ago by ancient Incan cultures. It's over 100 meters tall and it's on the Pope's robes. Why? Like, seriously, like, let's move away from aliens and UFOs for a second and just, can anybody actually tell me, why does the Pope have this on his robes? It is aliens.
Such a great question. Like, why do that? I mean, I thought at first, well, maybe he's from there. And, but even so, with the higher ups, I mean, I know he's the Pope. It doesn't get much higher in that branch of whatever religion, other than, the God that they worship. Why would that be on there? No one asked him, hey, man, that's kind of a unique, it looks like a cave drawing or something, on your, gown that you wear to present yourself to the world. And supposedly, I don't know. Crazy. What do you think? Next.
Don't scroll. This shit getting crazy, y'all. These two Chinese nationals just got caught smuggling a biological pathogen into the U.S., y'all. And it's not just any pathogen, y'all. They said this junk can wipe out entire wheat and corn supply, y'all. Like, I'm talking about gone.
Two Chinese nationals have been charged with smuggling a dangerous biological pathogen into the United States. And this pathogen is considered a serious threat to our food supply and thus our national security.
This wasn't no accident, y'all. The FBI is calling it agro-terrorism.
Scary.
They saying they brung this shit over to fuck up our food system. One of the suspects is a researcher at the University of Michigan.
What?
And the other one, y'all, that's her boyfriend. They said this man was coming from China. He had the shit in his book bag. And the TSA officers caught that shit. And the crazy thing about this fungus, it don't just kill plants, y'all. This junk can also create toxins that's deadly for animals and humans.
What are we doing?
This shit sound like The Last of Us, right?
Right.
So now the DOJ, the FBI, and even Homeland Security are coming together on this, because you never know. What if they already smuggled some shit in? This shit crazy.
I mean, yeah. Who's to say they caught the first time they did it? Look, man. Don't we got enough going on? We got to have this going on too? I don't know. Man, look. You wipe out food supply for any group of people, you have about, I don't know, 2 weeks. 2 weeks is what the hardcore military survivalist people say. You have 2 weeks before, not just the breakdown of society and all that kind of craziness. Before your neighbor starts coming over going, hey, I have kids and they need to eat, and that's all that matters, so I need your food. You know, that kind of thing. Man, you want to create some crazy stress up over here, Jack, with the food supply, which there's some theories around that already. Yeah, okay, you know what? I've watched several of these. This has been out for a while. I was trying to find a way to show you without having some, copyright issue or whatever may be the case. All this is protected under the fair use. My wife said I said it too many times last time. I'm just trying to get it done, y'all. But I guess an email was somehow exposed during the investigation on this. And I guess he had the gentleman there, the boyfriend of the Michigan college student, had instruction in this email. Don't know if this is true. This is alleged. That he had instruction to put those biological things stash them in his shoe. And I guess he was being reprimanded in this email. Like, why didn't you do this? I don't know. That you'd think they would hide that kind of information if that's really what they were doing. But I don't know. Either way, well, let's keep on going.
The government has tried some truly terrifying experiments in secret.
This is more...
Some that went horribly wrong. Here are 5 you've probably never heard of.
Maybe.
Number 5, Operation Northwoods.
Oh my God.
This was a 1960s U.S. plan to stage fake attacks on American soil to justify war against Cuba. It was never executed, but the dark idea shows how far covert ops could go. Imagine how many innocent lives could have been lost if this plan had come to life. Number 4, the Philadelphia Experiment.
One of my favorites.
Allegedly, the U.S. Navy tried to make a ship invisible in 1943. Reports say the experiment caused crew members to vanish or be physically fused with the ship. But the government denies it ever happened.
Of course.
If true, this could be one of the strangest and deadliest experiments in military history.
That we know about.
Number 3, Project MK Ultra.
We just talked about it.
A CIA mind control program from the 1950s to 60s using LSD and other drugs on unknowing victims. Many suffered long-term mental damage.
I bet.
And the full extent is still hidden. The chilling part? Some subjects never fully recovered. Their lives shattered in silence. Number 2, the Tuskegee Syphilis Study.
Horrible.
For 40 years, from 1932 to 1972, the U.S. Public Health Service denied treatment to black men with syphilis to study the disease's progression, leading to needless suffering and deaths.
Man.
This horrifying betrayal of trust is a dark stain on medical ethics.
I mean, the worst.
Number 1, Operation Sea Spray. In 1950, the U.S. Navy secretly sprayed bacteria over San Francisco to test biological warfare. Thousands got sick, but the public wasn't informed until decades later. Imagine being caught in a deadly experiment without ever knowing it was happening. These dark chapters reveal how dangerous secret experiments can be, with consequences that still haunt us.
Yeah. Just knowing the fact that, the people that govern us and take care of, why? Why? The first thing that entered my head when I watched that is, why would you do it to us? Why wouldn't you experiment on the enemy or something, Just because I guess it'd be harder to track them. I don't know. Why? Yeah, and that's supposedly, those have all been exposed. That's real. From what I understand. And I am no specialist. I am just your neighborhood shirtless savage, Mr. Dick. Let's continue.
Check out this wild video from Geneva in Switzerland. On December 29th, 2023.
Look at that.
No coincidence, I'm sure, that's the same location that CERN's particle accelerators at.
I couldn't tell if this was
it
AI.
Looks like they are opening portals again. I'm sure the boosted community will just claim it's a thunderstorm. It's called weather.
And I don't know if that
What
is
do you
real
think?
at all.
Just some natural weather phenomenon? Or does it seem like CERN is up to it again? To me, it definitely looks like those parasites are out playing God again. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
Let's look at it closely, shall we? What? Yeah, I don't know if this is a real thing.
Seen that?
But I do know that CERN is real.
Seen that come out of the clouds?
And they are doing
Man, what was
the
that?
craziest things there. I have heard so many reports about, them opening up portals. I just watched a video back in 1978. This thing's been around for a hot minute. Back in 1978, one of the scientists didn't realize that they'd started up the collider. And I guess the warning light that was outside the door saying, don't enter this room because we're, doing crazy stuff in here with portals and whatnot, science. And I guess he opened the door and went in while these super tiny neutrinos, I don't know what they are, particles. And I guess it went through his head and everything seemed to be normal at first. And then a few days later, his head swelled and the doctors that looked at him, they could tell the path that the atom or whatever went through his brain. And he lived for, I want to say like 30 more years, but his face was stuck in whatever facial expression he had at the time of said incident. Crazy. I can't believe he's still alive. All right, everybody, I'm gonna go ahead and draw it to a close there. I feel like I have possibly given you some intriguing things to ponder throughout your day. Hopefully your Monday is great. Awesome things are going to unfold this weekend this week for all of us. It's going to be magic and amazing. Okay. I waited till the end to share this stuff because I have been dealing with some issues, health issues, if you will. I talked about it in my last video. Still repping the cane. It's a lower back sciatica thing, and I'm going to the doc tomorrow. I was going to put up a video tomorrow, but I don't think I'm going to be able to because of this appointment timing. Maybe if I can get it done early, but I have things to accomplish in my handicapped state that I will be needing my wife's help for. Seriously, y'all, without this lady in my life, the love of my life, my wife, I would be in a totally different predicament right now because there's like certain things I can't do physically because of my ailment. Like the reason I look like this General Ben character from the show, I don't know if anybody remembers that. Guy had a Kodiak bear for a pet. One of my favorite shows as a child. Anyway, I'm old. I can't shave myself because I can't bend over and like do the thing to like look in the mirror and get it done. So she's going to help me do that today. So I'll be all fresh and clean for the next video, which will probably be Wednesday that I'm putting up the next one. If anyone finds it in their heart to put some comments in my comment section, come on, chat, hit me up with something. Give me some back and forth. Let me know what you would like to see. And I don't care what it is. I might be able to do something like that. If there is a certain, information rabbit hole you want me to delve into, whether it's something that excites you or you just want to see me see it, hit me up. Put it in the comments. I got an email. It's real easy. dictatetheday@gmail.com. Let's go. All one word, all lowercase. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I thank you all so very much for joining me on this one. Like I said, may this whole rest of our week, this day, every moment of our existence unfold continuously with success. I wish all of you the best. I love you. I thank you. And remember, dictate your day, okay? Anything you can to dictate the day. And I always say, I'm going to say it every single time, share your love, spread your knowledge, and that'll take care of itself. All right, y'all. Dick's gonna dip. I will see y'all on the flip. I am out of here.